We're live?
We're live. No, not live. We're recording. Eventually, maybe we go live, but
special podcast
for this episode,
We gotta have a podcast after the first game.
A podcast after the first game, we go live.
That'd be crazy.
Right after the first game. That bitch should be.
Take the pads off, come down to the studio.
Yeah.
Like Draymond?
Just like literally
sick.
Just like Draymond.
That'd be kind of sick. I can't lie. But for this episode of Division 1 Rejects, episode 71, prestigious number 71, I'm recording this on August 1st. It's camp season, fellas. In a week here, we get started. But our guest today already said more words than Hunter Denton when he came on the podcast, and we're about 30 seconds in. Coach Brancheau. How we doing, Coach? Good to have you.
Coach.
Good to have you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys. You said this is number 71?
This is number 71. Is that a sentimental number to you? Or?
No, I was thinking you should have got Coach Jerson on this one. Is D71 there?
That was his number?
That was his number
Really?
in the CFL.
I didn't really know that, actually.
We do gotta get
That's
Coach on here,
research. He'd be funny. I guess now that we are an explicit podcast, we could actually swing that.
Yeah, he could come.
He would definitely have some stories for us.
You know, I asked him if I can mic him up this fall.
What'd he say?
And
No?
he's like, he said you might have to give him a little bit of time in advance just so he could prepare his mind to censor himself. But
Well, he knows you can edit stuff out. Like
he does, but I mean, you know, he's
The whole episode is going.
it's gotta be usable. So otherwise on this podcast, we'll talk to Coach Branch here in a second. But other stuff we'll be covering, fellas. The ruling is out on Deshaun Watson, and it's a pretty controversial one, depending on what side you sit on. We'll talk a lot about that. That's kind of been the big news today. From I think Schefter reported it first, of course, that absolute bum. And otherwise, Deebo Samuel, he finally got a deal done in San Francisco, and he is the last of this wide receiver group that we've seen to finally get that deal done. We saw A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, and then finally Deebo.
Hunter
Renfro. I guess you could throw him in that category. Is it the same the same money?
Same draft class.
Yeah, but I'm talking like...
Yeah, he got a bag, bro.
Yeah, he got paid.
Like 60 mil.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
50 mil.
I guess I didn't realize it was them. I mean, he deserves it. He's been really good out in Las Vegas. But otherwise, like I said, Deebo Samuel. But as always, you can watch this episode on YouTube. If you are watching, don't forget the little red bar on the bottom of the screen, the timestamps. If you want to fast forward past the conversation with this guy, go right by it, right? But I think they should stick around for it, huh?
Yeah, they might as well. You got me staying up past my bedtime.
But otherwise, use those timestamps to get to any of those topics. You can listen pretty much anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Follow us on Twitter at D1_Rejects and on Instagram at Division1 Rejects to see highlights from the show. We're getting busy on TikTok, too. We got 2 of them right now. We have like 15 followers on TikTok. We need to get that up. But
all it takes is one.
all it takes is one. But we need more than 2.
Yep.
Is kind of what I'm thinking here. But we'll get there eventually. But not to belabor the point, joining us today, man who played here at Northern. He started his own gym in Marquette. Now he's back to working with NMU athletes as our head strength and conditioning coach here at Northern Michigan. The lead instigator himself, Coach Branch. What's going on?
Hey, not too much, man. No, I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you coming on. It's good to have people in person, even though I can only see your eyes. I got this monitor placed in such a way, but it is what it is. It's nice to have people here in person. We had Chewy on here. He was sitting in that spot a couple weeks ago. It was a good conversation. Taller. He is, and he makes himself at home quickly, like very quickly. You were here for that tie, weren't you? Yeah. Oh, my bad. You got you with the water.
Socks off. He was super comfortable.
I did see that. He had the dogs out.
He stayed the whole podcast. He was just chilling.
Yeah, and if you on the dogs out topic, you'll notice for those of you watching on YouTube, we got the 4th camera set up over here, and now I got to put the dogs away because the dogs are now visible on the 4th camera. I'm not usually
That's
a Sox
crucial.
guy in the studio. But man, I can't be letting them loose anymore.
Yeah, I hate having my feet out here, dude. It's like embarrassing.
Hey, funny topic about that. You remember the first time that I think I might have talked to you about it when Jimmy's feet were here.
Yeah,
he had one sock. I think one hole was popped out.
Coach Branch was like, "What was Jimmy wearing last night?" I'm like, "What you mean?" He's like, "His socks." He's like, "One was like perfect, and then the other was like dingy and holy, and it was just bad."
Oh, he had the big toe out of the front.
And the best part is they were different lengths. One of them was like an ankle sock, and one was a half calf.
I'm like, I don't know. That's Jimmy.
And then he came into the gym the next morning with some type of pajama pants.
Jimmy's the man. He was pissed he couldn't be here tonight, but it is what it is. We all kind of rotate. I say we all, not me.
I feel like we better without him.
Damn.
I'm just playing.
You don't mean that.
He gonna get so mad at me for that. Like, he gonna hear this, pause it, and then run. That's fucked up, bro.
We'll get a voice memo about a couple when it gets uploaded.
Ty, bro, that's just...
We probably already got one.
Yeah, he'd have found a way to live stream it. He got us tapped.
But oh my gosh! But let's talk about you. And I guess more specifically before you. I think I had heard like before you came into being the strength coach at Northern, they went through, was it 4 or 5 strength coaches in almost back-to-back years? It was something absurd.
No, I think it might have been about 5. Yeah.
It was. So what the hell took them so long? Basically, that was my first question for you. Like, it feels like, as someone, I've only been here and I'll go into year 3, but as someone who knows that you've been around and you've been doing this, you've been about this, training pretty high-level athletes, what the hell took them so long?
Yeah, I guess I'm not really sure. I think they wanted to see a little bit more, a little bit more out of me, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I can't speak on that. But, I guess a little backtrack, once I played here, I graduated in 2010. I'm not sure if you guys know the story or not, but, I tried to play at the next level. And, obviously I didn't make it. And one of the things that they always said was, you're a great receiver, but your speed isn't there. So that was kind of like my driving force into kind of getting in the strength conditioning world because – nobody around here could help me get faster. So I had to kind of like outsource and really dive into my craft, you know what I mean? And that's kind of where I fell into Joe DeFranco and, Pete Bomarito and all these other strength coaches, you know what I mean? And, that's kind of where I would hit them up and nothing happened. It was kind of like crickets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, the first person that actually responded to me was Westside Barbell, Louis Simmons. And that's kind of where the conjugate system goes into our training.
Yeah. Now you're one of, not to cut you off, but you're one of the only Westside Barbell accredited gyms in the state, correct?
Yep. Yeah. And we're like one of 8 in the country now. Obviously, with Louis passing, I was actually going to be on his podcast in February, and that didn't happen. But kind of get back to my point. One of the biggest things was figuring out how to get guys stronger and more explosive. And for myself, I wanted to figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
If I ran a little bit faster, who knows? Maybe I wouldn't be here right now. But that's not the case. And so basically it kind of drove me to, try to help other guys get to that next level. So obviously I think some of you guys might know Coach Daniels, Jace Daniels.
For sure.
Him and Zach Anderson, those are my first guys that I got to train over at Advantedge. And at that time I didn't own Advantedge at that time. I worked, for a guy that had owned it. And I kind of took over the sports training realm. And that's kind of where he wanted to work more adults. I wanted to switch gears and make it more of a warehouse vibe, kind of like go with that, the turf inside of it, the blue-collar field, the industrial vibe, right?
Yeah.
Kind of what you see at Edge today. So, we had 2 different visions. And, the biggest thing for me was I wanted to figure out how to get these guys faster and stronger and help people get to the next level. My first class was Jace Daniels and Zach Anderson. And those are the first 2 guys out of Northern that ended up making it in a long time to the NFL. Jace ended up winning the practice squad with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and then Zach Anderson ended up being with the Browns in the rookie minicamp, and then he ended up getting cut, going to Winnipeg, and he ended up dominating out there. So I think he ended up with like 6 sacks in his first year. But, the crazy part was putting that conjugate system into play, and Zach ended up being like 268 pounds, jumping 38 inches, and running to 4.58.
What the hell?
Crazy.
What the hell?
Crazy numbers. So that I tried getting into Northern then. I applied to Northern. Things didn't work out for whatever reason. I think they thought it was just too young. I was 24 years old at the time. So
yeah.
So
you'd be the same age as a lot of the guys that you were potentially be like training. Honestly, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Plus I didn't have any collegiate experience. You know what I mean? So it took a couple years.
It would have been a gamble at the time.
Yeah.
Like for Northern, it would have been a gamble at the time. Right.
I get that. I guess from that perspective. But I mean, for you to go and make that change, and then to have two of your guys immediately make that jump,
right,
and be to some degree successful at the next level, it had to be like immediately gratifying and also like a reassurance thing, right? Like this could pay off, this can work.
Yeah, absolutely. And at that time too, it wasn't like I was just training those 2 guys, right?
Yeah.
We ended up having all these high school teams, and at that time, that's when Ishpring was kind of going through and
dominating.
I was gonna say, they were tearing it up.
They made it 5 years in a row to state finals, and they won 3 out of the 5 years. You know what I mean? And playing against teams like, Detroit Loyola, that type of thing. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like they're just playing against scrubs. Malik McDowell was one of their players on the team that they ended up beating, and he's a second-round pick for the Seahawks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Big D tackle. So that's kind of like another thing too, right? We interviewed again because, like you said, there's 4 out of 5 years.
Yep.
As a strength coach that came from like Michigan State, a strength coach that came from like, Louisiana, another one that came from like Wayne State, right?
Big credentials.
A lot of guys that have been around the league for a while. So like, But I knew that they weren't going to be here long. A lot of these guys were coming here for a stepping stone and getting on with their careers. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the thing that I'm like, all right, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking it out here. I'm going to continue to keep grinding, and something's going to end up paying off. And eventually, I'm going to get to the point where I'll be a strength coach here. You know what I mean?
100%. So I mean, I was going to ask, like, going off that, I was going to ask if it was an obvious choice, but obviously it was. Like, that was something that you would set your goals on before. I actually didn't know that you had applied before, but like,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
You know, looking at it from that perspective, like you said, it would have been definitely a gamble on their
northern
part.
side and being like a collegiate football program and all that, right?
Yeah, but like, you know, we made it where we're at eventually.
And also, like, back in those times, you don't really see like those young guys like coaching like you do now. You know, like it's kind of like the young wave now. Even in the NFL, you see the young wave of NFL coaches coming and taking over. And obviously, at the time, that wasn't a big thing in the football world. But.
Yeah, and the one thing you talked a lot about, like, or not too much, we touched on the conjugate method, right? And I went through a bit of that in high school. Obviously, being with Jim Garitas and, you know, working out with him and him really getting me into the weight room. But like, I think one of the first things I thought when we got here, and it was like a shock for me going through powerlifting in high school. One was box squat for sure, as opposed to free squat, and two was no power cleans. We're not getting anyone throwing the bar around like that.
Thank God.
And you and I have had that conversation a couple times, and I totally get it now from your perspective. But like coming in, I was like, what the hell? Like you see Division I teams free squatting, you know, so much weight, and they're always power cleaning because that's a cool movement that they put on videos, and they always post that stuff out. Yeah. They love that shit. So I guess just like, you know, for your reasons, and like why do you not have us doing that stuff?
Yeah, this is really funny that we actually talk about this because I literally just left Nagani High School. We were just training those guys. And, you know, a couple of the kids staying after, and they were like asking me about power cleaning and hand cleaning and stuff. And I was like, hey guys, I got to leave. I got to go to this podcast. But I was basically the reason why we don't power clean, right? It has nothing to do with me not liking Olympic lifting, right? Yep. But that being said, it's a sport in and of itself. You know what I mean? A power lifter is same thing, right? They're going to be doing their box, or they're going to be doing their free squat, their bench with a pause, that type of thing. Now, when you go into weightlifting, right, it's just a little bit more technical, right? So if you're doing a clean, a snatch, a jerk, those types of things, that takes a long time to become proficient in those things. Yeah. But I can take an athlete, any athlete, doesn't matter what sport they're playing, right? Now they can come into the gym and they can jump. I know for a fact they can jump.
You better. I mean, you've seen a couple of guys.
I mean, for the most part, right? For the most part, they can jump. Secondly, you know, there was a kid last year I said it was a liability. All right.
I was just saying, hey, he's come a long way in a vert pad, but you definitely last year you got on that vert pad. The first couple of jumps were.
I mean, I walk in there and the first day we're doing tests. And I'm like a $150. Yeah. I'm like, I was not very good.
And imagine, you come in there and you see a guy like Tavion go up and jump like 40-some inches.
Holy shit! Like, oh my god, I thought he was big.
Yeah. But no, like I'm saying, like it's a. For you to jump, it's a lot easier for you to jump, and I feel very comfortable with saying, "Hey, jump as high as you can," versus grabbing a barbell, cleaning that thing as much weight as you can, right? Yeah. Obviously, like you're not going to put a lot of weight on. I'm not worried about that type of stuff. But like the biggest thing, right, that everybody talks about is just triple extension. That's why you power. That's why you power clean. That's why you clean the snatch, all that sort of thing, right? Yep. So like to become proficient at that, I don't want to spend the first 3 weeks with a dowel rod, right, teaching them how to do the form, when I could be doing a weighted med ball jump or a reverse med ball throw for distance, right? Those are the types of things that you can still do that are triple extension, and it's going to make sure that you're continually moving the needle. If our goal was to become really good at power cleaning, then I would power clean. Yeah. But our goal is to be faster, stronger, more explosive.
Football player.
Be a football player.
Yeah, and it's like that stuff that power cleaning, if you do it right, can totally do for you. But I totally see, like you said, you know, I personally, like my junior year of high school, I was just starting to get decent at power cleaning. I threw 300 on the bar, got it, but then guess what? The next 3 months, I was nursing like a back injury and had some joint stuff that I was dealing with because that was a shit ton of weight for me at the time. 100%. And like, you know, even for someone like myself, like I think I'm a decent power cleaner. All it takes is one little, you know, niche or something in your form, and it could be it. Like you're just always one piece away from an injury. Which it's tough.
I mean, I guess the biggest thing that I've evolved into, right? Because before it was just box squat, box squat, box squat, and then you know you want to add in other things, right? If I took a look at my programming from like 2011 till now, it's very similar, but it's very different at the same time. So now my biggest philosophy is I want to be married to the intent, not necessarily the movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So I don't want to be married to just the box squat, right? I want to be married to that intent of what we're trying to achieve, right? So if it's explosive power, I want to achieve that. If it's absolute strength, I want to achieve that.
Right.
You know, if it's static overcome by dynamic, I want to achieve that.
I love that. And then talk about, too, like, you have guys last year, a lot of guys, I mean, you know, preaching to the choir here, guys go with knee problems and a lot of guys with hamstring problems. So two of the things. So then you come back in, and now with this offseason, I feel like you've addressed that, like, immediately addressed that, and, like, not just by saying, okay, guys, we're going to do more hamstring curls. Or like, hey, guys, we're just going to, like, do – you know what I mean? Like, there are different things you're supporting, like the muscles around those areas. Like, how do you go about deciding where you put your emphasis on exercises like that for your guys?
Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of it comes down to the training year. You know what I mean? So, like, obviously in the off season, I want to try and get us as strong as we can. You know, once we got away from spring ball and a lot of the guys stayed up here this summer, probably the most we've had in since I've been here for sure.
It felt like it for sure, yeah.
You know, you had the 6 a.m. group, then you had the noon, and then the 5 p.m. But then some other guys were trickling in. But for the most part, like, I'm not sure if you've noticed or not, but like the knees over toes stuff that we ended up adding in there. All right, so that's stuff that we've added a tremendous amount in the last 2 years. Whether that be a sled drag variation, whether that be, you know, dumbbell or barbell variations, right? And everything we've done is kind of like added to that. So on any given day, we're working on velocities, we're working on, you know, horizontal power, that type of stuff, but we're still adding in those things that are going to help with correcting the knee issues that we've had, right? You know, that being said, you're never going to go away from injuries. Like, that's going to happen in every sport. It doesn't matter what type of system you follow. But you know, if you can kind of try and combat that as best you can, you know, that was kind of the biggest thing going into this offseason is, you know, coaches really want to make me put an emphasis on the knees, the hamstrings, the posterior chain, and I think we've addressed that pretty well.
Yeah, it's huge. And then you know, you talked about it. Your business is growing for sure. You're not content with where you're at. And, like, adding us on NMU, adding that onto your plate was not like you know, I'm not just going to sit on this. Like, you still want your business to go elsewhere. How do you balance bringing us in when you already got a packed gym? You've already got high schools busing kids over, literally, and you've got different groups of, you know, age ranges all the way from 50 plus all the way to kids that are in grade school, like, coming in. How do you balance all that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have to have a good team, right?
Yeah.
You know, with Coach David and Coach Brandon, those guys are doing a hell of a job with us. They've grown significantly, and I think having you guys in the gym all the time made them grow up real quick. You know what I mean? Because they get to see you guys, like you told me before about me being 24 years old and working with the college teams, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's those guys right now. You know, they're not running the groups by themselves, but they're still the same age as you guys. So for
not
them,
me, but shit.
For some of you, yeah, you know what I mean? So they had to grow up real quick, right? And, you know, I've been with them for Brandon 5 years, Dave 4 years, and they have done, like, from day one till now, you know, they've been able to allow me to kind of outsource my training, right? So now I can be up to Finlandia a little bit more with, you know, Coach Elijah Weber. He's up there running it for us, our second location.
Sweet.
So that's another university we're with, but now I can have more hands on that where I'm talking to Elijah. You know what I mean? Where before I couldn't do that because I was just working in the gym so much, right?
Right.
You know, on top of that too, where they're training our Edu Youth, our Edu Junior, Edu High School, right? So they're taking all those teams from me, right? And then now I can be with Ishpeming, I can be with Nagani, I can be with Munising, I can be with Gwyn, right? I can still train those kids. And, you know, if I didn't have a team like that, there's no way I'd be able to train this amount of volume. Because right now we're about 400 athletes a day.
Yeah,
I mean,
like you get in that gym, I mean, any hour of the day, and there's going to be people in there. You know what I mean? Like, it's never just like crickets going off in there. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be somebody in there. Then I had a question for you, too.
Even
like,
if it's Quan at midnight cleaning that joint.
Right. He's probably in there right now. Shout out Quan. He's probably in there. But so kind of backtracking a little bit, when you're, you know, a 24-year-old kid, adult, however you want to say it, and you're in there, you got to have some sort of vision for yourself, right? And you kind of talked about how you wanted to, you know, get bigger and do this and help kids, and not with like the older kids or adults, whatever. But now you kind of have like this tension, this animosity building up, like where you're on social media, you're getting stuff out like probably more than you have in the previous years. You know, you got people on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and you have. What does it look like for the Edge Nation, like, expanding? And I don't know if you have anything in the works or whatever, because we haven't even talked about it, you know what I mean? So this is like out of the blue. But, like, what is your, like, future plans on, like, new gyms or, you know,
next steps
downstate, you know what I mean? Just like, next steps, your futuristic plans.
Futuristic.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, I could talk a lot about that, right? So, like, there's so many things I can do with this. My biggest why, all right, so this kind of ties into what you're asking here, right? My biggest why, and the reason why I'm still in Marquette, Michigan, right? I'm from the UP, all right? So when you're a UP athlete and you're going to play college ball, the biggest thing that people are always saying, oh, you don't play against no competition.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you're good for a UP athlete.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get rid of that stigma. You know what I mean?
That's really good.
I'm trying to get rid of that because there's a ton of athletes up here that don't get the type of credit that they deserve, and I want to help bring an A1 training facility to them, right? Yeah. So I want to be able to help train these guys at a very high level. Like, there's no reason why Tuck came back every offseason for his training. There's no reason why Bree stuck with me for this long, right?
But think about like a kid on our team. Like, you stick Cam Carpenter in the offense downstate, he's still going to do what he does.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's a firsthand from what we know. You know what I mean?
In those first two names that I mentioned today, that Zach Anderson and Jace Daniels, they're UP athletes that played at the next level, right? So like that has always been a vision of mine. Where like I could have went to Iowa actually to be a grad assistant. You know what I mean? That was like one of the. I was either going to buy Advantedge or go to Iowa.
And that would have been a big time decision for you. Like that's huge.
Buy Advantedge or go to Iowa.
Literally, those are the two options I had. I was sitting.
That's crazy
nuts.
though. Like that's
nuts.
That's wild. And that was presented to you at about the same time in your life too, right?
Same exact time.
Yeah,
I was sitting in California at the time. I was sitting in California in the airport because I went and visited my buddy in LA. And I'm thinking, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting in the airport. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I ended up going back to, I want to make a difference in an area that I grew up in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's no lie. Like I could easily be gone from the UP, but I don't want to be. Right. I want to stay here and I want to help bring that, right? Like I wrote an article about it probably 3-4 years ago about, like I remember like sitting in the locker room at Northern and every year they kept bringing in another guy. They kept trying to bring in these receivers. I remember a receiver came in from the University of Illinois, right? He was supposed to take over my spot. The next year, another guy, right? Every year they tried to bring somebody else in to replace me, and it wasn't happening. And every time they're like, "Damn, you're good for a UP player. I don't care about all that shit. Like I want to be good for a football player, right?
Oh, yeah.
I want to get rid of that because all the time these guys are always getting dogged up here, man. I'm telling you, it happens. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's some athletes up here that have no business being at Northern. They have no business being at any of these schools, right? But for the most part, I've seen some guys that have come up here that are not from the UP, and I'm thinking they won't even play up here. You know what I mean? But they're talking about like the level of competition that this kid played in, and that stuff bothers me.
That's a great point. I've never really thought about obviously not in your perspective, because I'm not in your perspective, but that's a really good like motivation driving factor, I think.
You talk about guys like Tuck. Tuck's a great example of a lot of that, and now him coming back to train with you. Not only at Edge, but he's also going to come coach, which has been officially announced. So we can talk about it now. He's coming to coach the wide receivers back at Northern, which is huge. Now, how I guess important is that for not only alumni but successful alumni that have gone on to do those type of things and have, like I said, a degree of success at the next level, whether that be in his stint with the Steelers or in his time with the Tiger Cats in the CFL. How important is that for those successful alum to come back and do that?
I mean, I can't speak any more highly on that. You know what I mean? This is a guy that, obviously he doesn't have coaching experience right now, right? But I've seen him work with guys. He's actually ran Marcus Tucker camps at Edge. He's done all those things with a lot of our receivers. He actually worked with Cam Carpenter as a junior, senior, right? He worked with Owen Beauchamp. We're getting him here soon. He worked with Justin Jermu, who's going out to Valparaiso, right? He's worked with a lot of these kids that are up here. And he's bringing an element of how to play the position that is not taught up here very much. Right. You know what I mean? So, like, for him to come back up here, that speaks very highly on the program, too, because, again, this is where he grew his roots, right? And he wants to come back and give back to that, right? So for him to come up here, it's just a perfect world for him, right? Because he's still not done playing. He wants to still play in the XFL, which doesn't begin, I believe, until February.
February, yeah.
Right. So he gets to be here all year. He gets to train. He gets to do one-on-ones. He doesn't get to do the one-on-ones, but he gets to basically do. If he wanted to, he could probably do all the routes with the receivers.
Oh, 100%.
So he's getting better at his craft while these guys are training with a guy that's still playing. Like, it's a win-win for everybody.
That's 100%. And you see that at the higher level, the Division I level a lot, I think, especially, a pass rush specialist has been a word that's been thrown around a lot. A guy like Brandon Jordan, who was, another connection to here. But those guys you see a lot at the higher levels because they have the larger staff that can support those more niche-specific coaches. Right. But at the Division II, Division III NAIA level, what do you talk about? You don't get those skill-specific guys very often because the coaches have to wear a lot of hats. I mean, we've experienced that ourselves. Look at our staff last year and how many hats each coach was wearing. Now we're going to be bringing in, we've got 5 new coaches this year, 5 new faces. And that's not even counting some more assistants coming in like Bree or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think that's huge because when you get guys like that are a very skill specific and very honed in on their certain craft, that's invaluable for guys at this level.
100% agree, man. I can't wait for it. I mean, these receivers have no clue what they're about to get in for.
That's dope. I love that. Now I think I might already know the answer to this one. You got a favorite athlete you train right now or have trained in the past?
I was thinking about that when you texted me last night.
Yeah,
dude, I don't know.
That's bullshit.
I'm telling you,
bullshit.
Probably Cade Manzo.
I'm telling you, there's so many athletes that we've had.
Hey, he ain't saying no.
I mean, just think about like obviously Tuck, right?
Yep.
Obviously you got you guys like Bree, you got Michaela Mayer. You know what I mean?
That was gonna be my pick for what I thought.
I mean, Tyler Conklin. These are some big time players. You know what I mean? And then to flip side, right? I mean, I love training some of these high school kids. You know what I mean? It kind of gives me a little bit more refreshing because it's training Michaela is very like, man, I can't screw this thing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't screw this thing up.
Bet.
And training a middle school kid.
Just talking like the streak that she's on right now and how dominant she's been. Is that what you're kind of getting at with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know how that business goes.
Yeah.
She loses a fight, I'm fired. You know what I mean? Like,
Really?
Probably.
But I mean, yeah.
I'm her longest strength coach.
Shit, probably.
I'm literally I've been with her the longest out of any of her strength coaches.
Are you serious?
Whatever you're doing, don't switch it up.
So if she loses,
crazy.
she ain't losing though, man.
No, 100%.
She's too damn good.
I know his favorite athlete.
What's that?
I know his favorite athlete.
Who's that?
Tavion.
Tavion, his favorite?
When Tavion got here, he was a baby. He was 140 pounds.
And he likes
bench
seeing
press
that growth.
225 5 times. And now Tavion is pound for pound the strongest person on the team.
100%. There's no argument. Yeah.
I don't think anyone could argue that.
Yeah.
Tate works really hard. You know what I mean? It's not just what he does in the weight room, it's outside the weight room too. He's very methodical in what he does.
Oh,
he
is, for sure.
But like to say he's one of my favorites, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like I can say that about a lot of us guys, you know what I mean?
Say his favorite.
What did I tell you day one? What did he came in last year, and what did you say to me after your first game?
I got to lock in.
No. He said that's all edge or something like that. He goes, that's all edge, and I said, no,
that's
man,
how the edge work.
that's all God given because you've never done edge work. You know what I mean? Like he never worked out till this offseason like this. This is probably your best offseason I think you've ever had, man. And now I'm scared for opposing defenses, to be honest with you.
Ty blushing, bro.
Don't blush. But he did say that though. He did.
Would you
it was something I was like, that's all edge. You feel me? And I was really just talking about just like working out. You feel me? During camping and shit like that. And he was like, nah. He was like, if you lock in with me, if you buy in, I'm gonna turn you to, you feel me, something you never thought you could be.
100%. Now, would you agree with that? This is your best like off season that you've had?
Yeah.
You think so?
For sure. Yeah.
Good, bro. Then I'm with you. I'm scared too. I'm scared for him.
I'm scared. I mean, you know our running back room. I mean, I don't gotta talk too much about it. I mean, shit. That's probably the best position group we got.
I mean, I'm biased, but I'd say so. Shit.
One of the scariest rooms in the GLIAC.
Yeah. So we just got to keep everyone in that room
Healthy.
on the field.
When you all them bullets in the gun, like you were saying earlier, Ty.
Yeah. Nystrom loves that one. Nystrom loves that one. And then Perlis's was always, he'd say every time, your best ability
is availability. We can't do nothing if you sit on the sidelines. So you guys gotta take your vitamins, drink your water, watch your film, and now we on a story about how he loved his wife.
That one went in my head.
I never got to meet. I never got really like meet to one-on-one with Perlis or any of that. So
no, he was just a storyteller. And he was a good storyteller. But sometimes the stories just
meetings was just hell.
They were
because we watching. You feel me? 15, and now we talking about how when he was back at North Texas in 1846 with Jim Ball Kirkenbaum.
He said 46.
It always went left with him.
It did, and he had a year in the USFL this year. So shout out to him. Still doing his thing, still out there. But we can switch gears a little bit. We'll head over to some NFL talk here, and I wanted to talk about Deshaun Watson. And we have poked fun at this situation time and time again on this show, but finally the ruling is out for Deshaun Watson, and it's not what people were expecting. Deshaun's going to play for the Browns in 2022. He's going to play for 2/3 of the season, just about. He's The ruling from the NFL disciplinary officer, Sue Robinson is her name. Remember, Roger Goodell does not make this ruling himself. Is that Watson will be suspended for the first 6 games of the season. There will be no additional fines. I will say the caveat is that the NFL can appeal the ruling. And before we get into it a little bit more, I'd say the league actually recommended that he would be suspended for the entire year, but Sue deemed that he would only be suspended for 6 games.
See, Branch, you made a really good point earlier.
At the gym?
You gotta say it, yeah. I'm gonna pull up a tweet about from Field Yates right now. You can talk
He's talking about the deflate gate.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Brady had 6 games for the deflating footballs. You know what I mean? 6 games on 6 games. 22 women versus 6 footballs. I don't know. It's a
tough argument.
It's
It's a
ridiculous.
tough sell. And I've actually, if we're going to go into that, I've got some other notable suspensions up here that I wanted to kind of relate it to. And the biggest one I think right now is Calvin Ridley that a lot of people are looking at.
Yeah.
Right? He's losing 17 games the entire season because he bet, $1,500 on a parlay for his own team when he
hope that
was
shit
not
hit.
playing.
I hope that shit hit, boy.
It didn't.
I don't think it did.
No, it didn't hit.
No, I don't think it did. So he lost money and he lost a year, and with probably additional fines as well. But in all seriousness, he's losing an entire season because he put $1,500 down on his team when he was not playing in the game. Is absolutely ridiculous. Now
I think it's bogus. Like regardless of even Deshaun Watson,
Yeah,
I don't think
100%.
he should have got a year.
Oh, 100% too. I'm just trying to
4
put it
games
in perspective,
max.
right? Yeah.
4 games and a big dumbass fine.
And people are saying, you look at that and you say 6 games is compared to an entire season. So is that where you hold something as serious as like a potential sexual misconduct or that type of offense compared to gambling?
To
And
me,
betting money?
personally, like, I feel like I'm gonna be on the other side of this. Like, he was found not guilty in court,
Yeah.
and then every suit has got settled by now. Now you can say what you want about, you feel me? He just throwing money and they're gonna take it, but every suit is settled. He hasn't been found guilty of anything. Now
That's
I'm
true.
not saying he didn't do it.
No, you're right though. You're
because
right. You're right.
100,000 women is not lying on you.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it come down to it, when it's all said and done, if you want to be like for real, he missed all of last season because of that.
Yeah, not technically by suspension, but
But
that was
come
the
on
reason.
now.
That was the reason.
That's the
Yeah.
whole reason he didn't play last year. So he missed a year. He's gonna miss basically a year and a half of football because he didn't do nothing in the whole offseason last season.
Yep.
So I feel like I thought he's gonna get 8 games. I feel like 8 games would have been cool. I'm not mad at 6 games. To me, I don't even think he should have got suspended.
Really?
That's me personally. You didn't find him guilty of nothing. You're just suspending him off the assumption.
That's a good point. Like you're not
I
the court.
guess I can
didn't-
see it.
Yeah.
Like
I
like
get
looking
I
both
get that
perspectives.
perspective.
Like that's why I
get
can't
that
be mad
perspective.
at 6 games because
Yeah.
if anything, he didn't get found guilty of. Now, like I said, I'm not saying he didn't do it because 23 women are not lying on
Yeah.
you. All 23
It's such a
are
fickle
not
situation.
lying on
It
you.
is.
Well,
but I
there's-
feel like when you're not found guilty, like it went to the court of law
Yeah.
and you got proven not guilty, and then these are civil suits. These are not, you feel me, lawsuits in court. I feel like 6 games is cool
Well,
because
this
you're
is,
just going off the assumption. This is to make the league look good.
I will say they know he. I shouldn't say they know, but they basically know he did it. The part of him not being guilty was the fact that they argued that it wasn't illegal. I don't know if you heard that whole argument, but the lawyer basically said like it
He didn't
happened.
do anything illegal.
Yeah, that's okay. That's
And
that's a better way to say it.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, like
Yeah.
he didn't break any laws. This is basically to save face for the league.
100%.
This is not Ray Rice knocking out his wife. This is, you feel me, somebody being a weirdo.
Yeah,
That's a
So
great
we got to
point.
save face for the league.
That's a great
it's for the
point.
badge,
And he
dude.
missed
It's for
out the
badge.
whole last season. So I don't know why people was calling for him to miss this season as well, because that's the whole reason he missed the last season. Nobody in a right mind,
Well, weren't these new? These were new, right?
huh?
Weren't these new allegations?
No, these came out. This came out last season. He demanded a trade before the season started, and then
There was more,
all that shit
though.
came.
A couple more came out of the dust.
Like 15 came out at once, right after he requested the trade. Because people were saying it was the Texans at first, like framing them. I ain't never believed that.
Yeah, that was weird.
But like 15 came out at once, and then 8 more like came out.
Yeah.
Over the course.
And the whole thing has been drug. I don't know what the right word is, but dragged out for so long. And I guess it is not. And I actually, you know what, your perspective kind of changed mine on the whole thing. Like I do understand that now, and I can totally see why people wouldn't be up in arms about it. But still, you have to agree. Like the general public is still pissed. Like very much so.
Like 6 games, and then like Josh Gordon has missed like 20
25
games because of weed.
25 plus games because of weed. And then I had
You
a
know what I'm
couple to list a couple of other ones off here. Darren Waller, 16 games for substance abuse. We obviously saw him go through a pretty dark time there.
That shit was bad though.
It was
that
bad.
He needed that.
was bad,
He needed that too. He needed that time away from football. It wasn't
Respectfully.
It wasn't and he's obviously in a much better place now,
Yeah,
which is
sure.
awesome. Vontaze Burfict. That's a name that he's had his fair share of fines. And now very violent brand of football from that guy. Branch, you've seen that guy play, yeah? That dude is a killer.
He killed AB, pretty much.
Dude. Unreal. Anyways, he got 12 games for targeting. And, you start to hold these, and then it's very hard for the NFL because you have to sit with this precedent that you're setting, right? And, how do you value this as opposed to other, fines or different what's the word? Infractions.
This is what the Browns, I'll just read a little, they tweeted something out, a statement. They said, this is just like the end of it. This said, we respect Judge Robinson's decision and at the same time emphasize and understand that there have been many individuals triggered through this process. We know Deshaun is remorseful that this...
Oh, God, I got him!
Let's go! I've been seeing that thing fly
Bro,
around,
I got him!
In the middle of this great speech.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's got
But he says...
looking at his ass all day, bro.
Hey, show off the door. Yeah, look at the sliding door. Hey,
Y'all see the barn door? I built it myself.
Go ahead, Kate.
He says that we know Deshaun is remorseful that this situation has caused much heartache to many and will continue the work needed to show who he is on and off the field.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson has never said anything about being remorseful.
Yeah,
the last time he
true.
talked, Field Yates, shout out Field Yates, big Field Yates guys over here. The last time we heard from Deshaun Watson was on June 14th, and he said, like I said, I never assaulted anyone. I never harassed anyone. I never disrespected anyone. I never forced anyone to do anything. That does not sound very remorseful to me.
To me, I feel like the Browns as an organization have to say that. And then
100%,
at the same
100%.
time, Deshaun Watson, whenever you go through something, like within the court of law, like you let your people speak for you. You don't say anything.
This is very
You don't
true.
get in front
That's
of a
very
camera
true.
because people are just gonna misconstrue what you say.
That's good word choice.
So
Good
he
word
just
choice.
he's literally being informed to not say anything because if you say anything, they're gonna find a flaw in it.
Especially
Yeah.
with
That's why he
nowadays,
didn't- that's why he
bro.
didn't speak.
Everyone reaching for shit.
You feel me? That's why I say
100%.
to
And
me, I feel like, man, the whole situation as a whole is messed up because
Yeah.
I feel like he was probably on some weird shit, but if he didn't ever rape
we know
nobody,
he was on some. We know he was on some
definitely
weird
was.
he
shit.
ain't never raped nobody. He ain't never do nothing.
No, yeah,
You feel me?
for sure.
Specifically, I ain't gonna say he didn't do it.
And I will say,
He didn't get
too, this is underneath. I was
charged
reading the
with
article
it.
about it because if it was deemed a quote violent type of sexual misconduct, the minimum suspension is a 6-game suspension, and that goes up from there. They deemed it was a non-violent, which is I think the correct
So,
ruling on
I'm just
that.
in there
Sure.
being
Well,
a
we don't
weirdo.
really know, but
Based on what we know,
Yeah.
right? Based on what we know, that seems to be the correct one.
We'll
But
never know.
we'll never know the exact details, nor do I want to.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think.
I think I'm all right.
Right? Yeah, I think that's okay. We'll spare those. But
For sure.
more on the football side of things, the Browns' first 6 games will be with Jacoby Brissett now. Now I don't know who you big NFL guy or no?
Yeah, I like Jacoby.
You like Jacoby?
Yeah, I like
Who
him.
do you
Nice.
who do you pull for? You're a Lions guy?
I'm a player fan, so like
You're a player. Okay,
was
I like
huge,
that.
Yeah. I was
Conklin?
huge with Payne. No, Payne. I mean, yeah, I like the Jazz too. Obviously, with shout out Salah too. I mean, he's a
yeah,
NMU guy.
NMU guy, yep.
How about
Obviously,
Zach Wilson? How you feel about Zach
Green
Wilson?
Bay with LaFleur. That was my first coach. You know that, right?
What is it?
Matt LaFleur was my first coach.
You know, I
You guys are
I was
tight, aren't
sitting
you?
at his. I was.
Yeah.
You funny, huh? You funny. I was sitting at his presser on Wednesday. Yeah, he's got charisma, dude.
He's a good
I
guy.
can see why people really gravitate towards him and like him. He had that press room giggling like some schoolgirls. Like really, he really did, bro. And those guys are all like Green Bay slappies. Like
Oh, yeah,
they
really?
eat up anything that comes out of that dude's
Good
mouth,
God.
bro. But
Literally.
they're all sitting there already. He walked in the in the presser. How's it going, everybody? I tell you, half the people already got to be smiling.
Man, you're so funny.
But no,
That
like,
little ass
in all
giggle.
seriousness, like he's got a good charisma. So you're a player guy.
Yeah, I'm a
Who's
player.
that? Besides the guys that you train, I mean, no doubt you're pulling for those guys. So you got anyone that's like, like you're turning the TV on to watch these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I was the biggest Peyton Manning fan. I mean, I loved him. He was. That's why I always like the argument of Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. I'll go Peyton until I die.
Me too.
You'll die on that hill, huh?
Me
Yeah,
too.
I will. I'll
Damn.
continue that.
Fuck Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, I mean, like you said, Deflategate, Spygate.
Kissing his kids in the
Vinatieri's
lips.
field goal. You know what I mean? Kissing what?
Kissing his kids in the lips. The tuck rule?
The tuck rule.
Come on.
Nothing,
Advertising his underwear brand on Instagram.
We could go on every Super Bowl. I'm not kidding. We could.
You could.
I'm not kidding.
The freaking Falcons, 21 points. I mean, Tom Brady does not have 5 MVPs like Peyton does. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do.
I'm on your side with this one.
This is true. But going back to the Browns, their first 6 games, like I said, with Jacoby Brissett, he played a good brand of football in Indianapolis. I don't know if you'd say he definitely deserved a starting job somewhere in the league, and the Browns aren't paying him to be a starter, but he will be the starter for the first 6 games. They are at Carolina against the Panthers.
Dub.
Then they host the Jets.
Time out.
Who's that? What's that?
So the Browns are paying a guy to sit on the bench while they're going to be paying Baker Mayfield to play against him the first week.
No. Deshaun Watson.
That is
Watson.
actually correct.
This whole first season in this extension is non-guaranteed.
He gets $1 million.
yeah,
base
They're paying
salary.
Baker Mayfield. They're paying.
But they are paying Baker Mayfield.
They're paying Deshaun $1 million.
So let me clarify it up because you're right. Hold on. Deshaun Watson, he's got $260 million, all guaranteed. But in the first year of his contract, it's only $1 million because they were assuming that he was going to be suspended. So they kind of played right into their hands. They are paying Baker Mayfield. I believe they picked up the larger portion of his contract. It was a little over $8 million this year. And then obviously you're paying Jacoby, but he's a backup, so he's not getting an insane salary. But
like
yes,
3 or 4
to answer your question, yes, they are paying Baker Mayfield to play against them, and they're not even going to have their guy at quarterback. So you still think they're going to beat the Panthers?
Yes.
I thought you were a Panthers guy. What happened?
No way.
Look at
They
that.
lost half the defense.
Okay.
Hassan Reddick,
That's
Stephon
fair.
Gilmore. I don't
Yeah.
know if J.C. Horn going to be ready for, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
And the Browns are just a better roster.
I would agree.
Yeah,
They just
more
going to
complete.
feed Nick Chubb the whole game.
But-
And they got a
And Myles
mean-ass
Garrett is going
defense.
to eat up.
But looking at
And-
the rest of their schedule, you host the Jets, you host
Dub.
the Steelers, then you
Dub.
go in Atlanta.
Dub. They
Thank you.
4-0.
You could, and then
They have
okay,
Jacoby
I will say
Brissett.
this: the next 2 games though, they're both home games, but then the Chargers and then the
Yeah.
Patriots come into town.
That's 2 L's.
It's so-so.
I'll say 3 and
think
3
so?
at
Against the
best.
Patriots, that's so-so.
3 and 3 in best.
Patriots so.
What 3 teams are beating them?
It's Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett is a good NFL quarterback.
He is pretty good.
He'd be
Yeah,
starting. if
good,
he was
not
good.
great.
He's good, not great.
No, you got to be
Surrounded by a great roster.
I think that's more important. Yeah, I think that's more important.
3 and 3, I'd say at best.
Who
I'm with you, Ty. I think that they lose 1, maybe 2 of those
The
games.
Browns are
if they're
not
the
starting
Browns.
4-0 with Brissett at quarterback.
Bro, are you crazy?
The Browns?
Are you crazy?
It is the Browns.
Now, I will say this. The first game for Deshaun Watson to be back, it's in Baltimore, week 7.
Yeah, that's an L.
That's
That's
gonna be
a big
raw.
one.
That's gonna be raw.
That's an
game.
L.
That's going to be a
Watson
prime.
versus
That's going to
Lamar.
be that's
Lamar
going to be a prime
Jackson
time.
MVP. Deshaun Watson can't fuck with Lamar.
But it'll be dope because it'll literally be like those two. I'm trying to think, when was the last time they played? When was the last time they played each other?
They played each other and
In the
Lamar beat the
playoffs.
shit out of them.
In the playoffs.
No,
right?
they've never played in the playoffs.
No, it wasn't. Cause
No, he played the Bills. Never mind. He played
Okay.
the Bills.
Yeah. When did they play each other?
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
When Lamar won MVP, they beat the shit out the Texans.
Okay.
It was like a 30 ball. I'm
Deshaun
pretty
Watson
sure.
has never beat Lamar Jackson except for in college.
They played in college too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Clemson, Louisville, bro.
Louisville
Remember?
was 3rd, Clemson was 5th.
4th and 8, and they ran a little out route, and the guy
And the
threw him the
receiver just
ball,
ran
ran
out
out of
of
bounds. They would have won the game.
Dumb as
It was
hell.
dumb as shit. Lamar had like 300 and 200 and 5 TDs.
Yeah,
Those are Lamar numbers.
Shorty's a killer.
Those are wild. But we can move on from that. We'll talk about Deebo. Well, I guess before we move on with that, let's the Browns. You talk about how good of a roster they have, and then assuming Deshaun Watson's going to come back and play the last 11 games of the season.
Yeah.
And 11 games of the season. Where did they finish in their own division though? Because the Steelers, you think they finished 2nd?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm not against that.
I think the Ravens are going to win the division.
I would agree with that, but you're putting them ahead of the Bengals though.
The Bengals aren't that. They don't have that like a crazy talented roster.
I did say that.
Like they don't have some crazy talented roster. Last year was like
People are
I
putting-
don't like to call shit fluke.
Yeah.
As far as when it comes to football, because you got to go out there and you got to win games.
Yep.
But that was like some
That
feel
was a
me
good fluke.
once in a lifetime miracle type shit. You know?
And they couldn't pull it off. It was the
That's
tough
like
part.
the 08 Jets with Mark Sanchez now.
Yes, that's a good comparison.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good comparison.
They had a
Sanchez or Joey Burrows? Come on, man.
oh my mama. They was
Mark
talking,
Sanchez?
Burrows?
They was talking about
Burrows?
Mark Sanchez was the next great thing in New York. after he took them to the playoffs.
I don't think he completed more than 20 passes a game.
That was a different
They didn't have no
league
one like
back then.
Jamar Chase. They had no one like him.
They had Darrell
No.
Rivers. They had a
In his
raw ass
defense,
defense.
Yeah, but-
nobody in that time had anyone
But
like
Burrow
Jamar Chase.
is literally like he's won at every level. That's the thing. He's literally won at every.
Oh, he's a
single
winner.
level.
I'm not saying
But
he's not, bro.
I get your point though, because I think people immediately associate, they went to the Super Bowl last year.
They're gonna be raw as hell.
They're gonna automatically get a shot to do the same thing.
Yeah,
that is not a
last
given.
pod, I said I don't think the Bengals would make playoffs this year.
They would not have made the. They wouldn't even made the playoffs last year if Lamar Jackson didn't get hurt, because they wouldn't have won their own division.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have even made the playoffs.
It's a fair point. It's not ridiculous.
And that's if Lamar Jackson didn't hurt. I ain't even talking about the rest of the entire roster who got hurt.
I wish I had a close up on there.
I know,
I don't
bro.
have a close up on his face.
He's dead ass
What?
serious.
You think that Lamar Jackson's not going to continually get hurt?
No, he won't continually get hurt,
Bro,
because
he's
he has
a running back at quarterback. He's going to get hurt.
This was the first time in his career he's ever missed time because of an injury.
He better not get hurt because he's still got to negotiate his contract. He's really
Playing
still
in the
betting on
NFL.
himself.
This is the first time he ever missed extended time. And you know what he did in the offseason to combat that? He went from 205 to 230.
He does weigh 230.
He did put on some good weight. It was just a good point
Yeah, he
because
did
it's going to
that.
make him a lot more durable potentially.
He did that.
Just ask the OC when he shakes his hand. It's just a different feeling.
Like
Is that what
bro.
he said?
Come
Are you
on,
serious,
dude?
Yeah, that's
Shake
next
my
level.
hand.
though.
I'll give you a good feeling too.
That's next. He ain't have to say all
What
that.
do you mean?
Yeah, bro, you gotta chill. You gotta stop.
Like it doesn't matter how I shake your fucking hand, dude.
The Ravens gonna win the AFC North.
That's what I
the
mean.
Browns will finish second. Like it'll be close. I'm not saying like I feel
No.
like the Bengals
yeah.
can go like 10-7, but I can see the
But it's
Browns
the AFC.
going like
but
I can
it's,
see.
it's the AFC.
You feel me? Like I can see the Browns, the Bengals going 10-7. I can see the Browns going 10-7, 11-6.
Now-
I got the Ravens like 13-4.
Shit, while we're here, I want to talk Lamar because he's
12-5.
in an interesting situation because not only is he negotiating his contract right now, he represents himself, which is a very intriguing aspect of that deal, or that just kind of that happening of what goes on with that. He represents himself, also has his mom, I believe, helps him out as far as some representation and part of the communication. But
It's raw.
it's cool because I was listening to some people talk about it, some NFL players, and they had talked about how it's important because you have to bring in a more human level to the negotiations. You can't lowball the hell out of someone because then you're going to be outright disrespected. There's no go-between guy. There's no agent. So you can't spit numbers to an agent and then he relays it and kind of softens the blow.
Yeah.
Right? Like, could you imagine if like the Cardinals gave Kyler that like directly to Kyler, showed him that deal and had like the 4 hours of film in there? I'm sure the agent that go-between guy kind of softened it, was like, yeah, they got some stipulations, but it's nothing, no big deal because you do that stuff anyways. Like he might have not even... You know what I mean? Like, if you're giving that directly to someone, I think it brings in a
Yeah,
much
that's a good
more
point.
human aspect to it.
I think we'll start to see more of that as like the next generation.
Richard
comes
Sherman
up.
was a guy who did that most recently, like a notable
He
a guy who
negotiated
used
his
to do that.
deal with the Niners.
Yes, exactly. So,
I mean, to me, I feel like when you're Lamar Jackson, you don't necessarily need an agent.
because, yeah, I would agree. But for most guys,
Because
you need someone
there
in your
shouldn't be
corner.
negotiating, bro. Give him his goddamn money.
Now, the thing is, too, and this is a very interesting point, is that he can be franchise tagged for the next 2 years. So if that's honestly the worst case scenario for him, is that he's franchise tagged the next 2 years, and now still that would mean through the next 3 years he makes somewhere or north of $100 million.
You can franchise tag somebody 2 years in a row.
I believe with the way that his deal is set up, I'm pretty sure that's how that
I don't
works.
think that's possible. I don't think you. I'm gonna look that up.
I think they can only do it once.
I
wanna
can
say
only
it.
think somebody can get franchise tag once.
I
I'm
believe.
sorry. I mean, like, his contract, when does his contract finish?
Like this is his final year, and then next year he can get franchise tag.
Yeah, sorry. I meant next 2 years. As
All
in,
right.
like, yeah,
All right.
sorry.
As in
I-
this year and next year.
Not as in he was going to be franchise tagged, then franchise tagged again.
Like it's not like this year, and then he could just leave. They can franchise tag him,
Yeah.
and then he have to
yes,
play on the
sorry.
tag.
Good clarification. But
Like Orlando Brown.
it'll be interesting because, like we said on the prior episodes, like if you're Lamar, you go to them and you're like, pay me $1 million more than Kyler Murray, and we can just get this going, get this rolling, right?
But
Is
to
it
me,
that
I feel
easy?
like the longer they wait, the longer they wait, the worse it's gonna get for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the Bengals, if they franchise tag Lamar Jackson, and then the Bengals extend Joe Burrow to
Yep.
some crazy contract, now you have to give Lamar that kind of money.
Yep.
Because the next quarterbacks in line for extensions, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert,
Yeah, and those are the two that come to mind.
And
It's gonna be
Lamar,
hard.
really.
Yeah, it really is Lamar. 'Cause I don't know
Josh
who
Allen,
else.
or Josh Allen already got extended.
He got
I believe
extended.
he got extended already, and
He'd probably get another one.
yeah.
He'll probably just get another
He'll
one.
probably just go 12 years, like $470 million.
So I feel like when you see that, like,
Yeah.
the longer they waited, the worse it's gonna get for them.
Sometimes I
100%.
wonder what goes through like these GMs and these like whoever makes that decision. You know what I mean? The coach and the GM.
Because you know you got to pay them. So what are you even
what are
waiting
they
for?
doing, bro? Just put the contract on the thing, let them sign it, and then just be like, all right. It's not like it's their money. It's not coming out of their pocket.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? Pay the guy.
A guy who finally did get paid is Deebo Samuel. He's sticking around in San Francisco. The 3-year deal that he just signed is worth $71.6 million with $58.1 guaranteed. Now, that number is kind of
Heady
interesting.
as hell.
Yep, because DK, we just saw him get a deal with 58.2 guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
So that number is right below that. And we talked about this last week. They always play these contract games. We talked about
ridiculous.
Kyler getting $1 more million guaranteed than other. It was
Point
Deshaun, I
five. It was
believe.
0.5.
0.5 million more, so 500,000 more guaranteed, which in the grand scheme of things is just a mark at the end of it.
Penny.
Yeah, exactly. Not much. So they definitely do play these contract games. But Ty, you sent us a picture from Schefter that I thought was really interesting, all about the incentives in the contract. Right?
Yeah, if he get like,
Which was big time. So I got
360 rushing
it
yards.
pulled up
yeah,
here.
it was
So
like 380, he get like,
yeah. So if he has a year with over 380. God, English is hard today.
Yeah.
380 rushing yards or more, he's going to get 650,000 on top of that, and then he's going to get an additional 150,000 for 3 rushing touchdowns per year. Excuse me, and those are very attainable.
and
I feel
basically
like,
it just
right?
add up to basically $2 million over the life of the
So,
contract.
you know what that
if he
does?
were to attain that every year.
Every year, yeah, keep going, and it only lasts for a couple years. So
That in the grand scheme of things, give him more money than DK.
it should. Now we don't know what incentive-laden contract that DK
Right,
signed.
right,
Nothing
right.
that really came to light and popped out. Probably nothing
There's
to that
probably
magnitude.
some like touchdowns. You get this many touchdowns, or you playing this many games.
And I think the most common ones to have in those contracts, I think one is a Pro Bowl or All Pro.
Yeah, 100%.
Those type of things will garner a little bit of money, and then obviously playoff runs, you'll enter the Super Bowl, like that type of stuff.
I'm not giving nobody. If I was a GM, I'm not giving nobody no Pro Bowl incentives.
Are you serious?
Mitch Trubisky made the Pro Bowl.
That's a great point.
He will die. Yeah, he will die on that hill.
You gotta get an All Pro for some incentives from me.
Yeah.
The Pro Bowl is a joke.
I mean, look at it. Look what they do there now, dude. It literally is a joke. It literally is.
It'll be.
They had dudes jumping off a trampoline, bouncing onto a freaking mat, trying to see who could catch the ball best.
Like that, like that's cool. It's not even about
But
that.
you
I'm
shouldn't
just
get
saying.
extra money for it.
I'm saying that's not what I'm. Nah, gang, you tripping. I'm saying like the
How
Pro
does that have
Bowl.
anything that like? What do you mean? Did you watch the Pro Bowl last year?
People opt out of the Pro Bowl, bro.
That shit was a joke.
Listen, bro. Listen. You got to listen to comprehend and not to respond. People get selected for the Pro Bowl and then they're like, I'm not going to do it because it's a waste of time. So then they have to go pick somebody else. So many people had opted out and said that they weren't going to do it. That Mitch Trubisky had got selected for the Pro Bowl. Mitch Trubisky had no business being in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he was an alternate, right?
So if you put that in somebody's contract, we give $5 million for every Pro Bowl you make. Now a Pro Bowl that he had no business being in because 6 quarterbacks turned it down. That's
That
what I'm
don't
saying.
happen though. 6 quarterbacks don't turn it down. Bro.
He's exaggerating the point, but I know what he's talking about. He makes sense.
The Pro Bowl's a
He's
joke,
look at him, look at him
regardless.
over there.
Who are you, bro? Adam Schefter?
I mean,
What you talking
even
about?
the NBA All-Star games the same way, man. Like
Yeah,
it just
they're all
goes
this-
off.
they're all a
it goes
joke.
off of
It's
like
become a
fan
watered
votes,
down
you know what I mean?
product.
Stupid.
Yeah.
It shouldn't even be a thing anymore.
So I mean, I guess that is something to be incentivized, though. I mean, if you have a lot of fans, they're probably buying a lot of your jerseys, so maybe they get a lot more money that way.
I mean,
don't know.
yeah. I don't know. I just hate the
Not
Pro
the
Bowl
Pro Bowl.
regardless.
All Pro. The All-Star game decent. It ain't bad.
Pro Bowl's dumb.
Like Andrew Wiggins being an All-Star starter, now that was bad.
Yeah, Klay Thompson too, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't a starter. But the fans vote the starters, and then the media and coaches pick the reserves.
They did the same thing in the MLB All-Star game, dude. It was awful.
Anyways, I found a video of you, Coach, actually last week when we were getting some of our running in. It's not a video of you, but it's a video of one of the coaches for the Chargers. I don't know what he's doing. It looks like he's doing a little coverage on Keenan Allen here. I guess we'll...
He's guarding him?
Oh, I've got the wrong... hold on here, guys. Sorry, I've got the wrong screen selected here. But yeah, so this video, there we go. Now I've got it working. This video is this coach covering Keenan Allen, and he potentially could have taken out his Achilles on this route. Look at this dude.
What the hell?
No cleats on this guy. I'm not sure what he's going into a back pedal for.
That's a good ass route.
It was a decent route. Oh my gosh.
He got coach falling.
Dude. That might be it. Something might be gone in his leg right there.
Shit.
That did not look nice going down there.
That's why I only play QB now.
You're the all-time quarterback.
Practice.
Before practice, Kate knows what it's like.
Oh yeah. Me and
Oh my
Quan.
gosh. That's hilarious, dude. But that's cracked me up. What do you say, something?
No, he was talking about how he was all-time QB with me and Quan before practice during the year last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some good one-on-ones.
Yeah. I'm excited for camp. We got it's the first
5 days.
By the
6
time
days.
by the time they're listening to this, it'll be 5 days until camp starts. So we're still gonna be producing the podcast. We're gonna figure out a schedule. We're gonna get people on here. We got a good lineup of GLIAC guys to be on here. We got guys from Davenport. I got guys from SAG. I've got guys from Ferris.
Nice.
Getting them all lined up. So we're gonna have some really good
And a big
really
show
good guys
Thursday.
on the podcast. Yeah, a big show Thursday, too, with Mikey Gall, the ambidextrous quarterback. Got to finalize a time with him, make sure he's good to go. But that should be a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. Yeah, you have a good time?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he
Not
fell
too bad.
asleep.
No, we're in a series right now. Prison Break. I'm watching it again. You watch Prison Break?
Oh
Anybody?
yeah.
Prison Break.
I'm on season
Michael
2 right
Schofield.
now. Schofield.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that.
It's a great. That's a
much
great
about that?
series.
I don't watch anything other than
You kind of remind me of
NFL
Teabag.
highlights.
You just watch film.
I
Teabag.
just watch film and Alvin Kamara.
You're lucky I
That's
don't
it.
remember it that well, or else I would know.
He's the dude that pulls his pocket out in prison.
Come on, bro. All right, you can get out of here.
Thank you for listening. Division I Rejects. We'll see you on Friday.